and then I'll introduce the wastewater treatment. Tapos kapag nagkaroon ulit tayo ng face-to-face which is on Tuesday, 9 to 10, doon ko i-discuss yung biochemical oxygen demand. So let me share my screen. Yan. Okay, so let's talk about water. So water has a formula of dihydrogen monoxide or two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. So when we say water, it is a liquid at standard small quantities. Water vapor is essentially invisible as a gas. So as I have said earlier doon sa fluids natin, ang density or ang property ng water ay nagkakaroon ng changes kapag nagkaroon din ng changes sa temperature at saka pressure, especially the density and the viscosity. Then also we have the heat capacity of the water. So water is actually the commonly used cooling system sa mga planta because of its high heat capacity. So kung i-compare natin siya doon sa alcohol or any other liquid, water has a higher heat capacity. Meaning, kailangan mo ng mas maraming energy requirement para makapag-increase tayo ng 1 degree per kilogram or per gram ng water. So this property prevents sudden large changes of temperature in the large bodies of water and thereby protects aquatic organisms from the shock of abrupt temperature variations. And it is also a universal solvent. So meaning it can actually dissolve almost all types of liquid except yung mga non-polar. So water is a polar and then ang example ng mga non-polar naman ay oil. So meron tayong tinatawag sa chemistry na like dissolves like in which ang water is apolar, ibig sabihin ang kaya lang din i-dissolve ng water ay yung polar din na gaya niya. While ang oil naman, hindi siya pwedeng ma-dissolve sa water. So magiging pag pinag-mix mo sila, they will form immiscible layer. So ang makakapag-dissolve lang din ng oil ay pwedeng yung non-polar din like the benzene or like the chloroform. Then we also have the hydrophilic and the hydrophobic or the water-fearing substances. Ang example no hydrophobic at saka hydrophilic is that it is found isa sa mga ingredients ng ating dishwashing liquid. So yung dishwashing liquid is the most common example na merong surfactants. So itong mga surfactants na ito, meron siyang tinatawag na head at saka yung tail. So itong mga head na to, these are the hydrophobic. Ibig sabihin, lumalayo sila doon sa mga water molecules and they want to mix with the oil or kaya yung mga stains. Samantalang yung mga tails naman, these are the hydrophilic, kaya yung direction nila ay towards the water. So what happens is that the hydrophobic part of the surfactants will dissolve the oil or kaya stain doon sa mga plates natin or pwede din sa mga clothes. So these are the water trivia and facts. So only 3% of the Earth's water is fresh water and 97% is salt water. And take note, from that 3%, only 90% of that is located in Antarctica. So ibig sabihin, yung 10% ng 3% na yun yung ni-utilize natin ngayon as yun yung mga ginagamit natin commercially na water or kaya yun din yung ginagamit natin as potable drinking water. So the total amount of water in the body of an average adult is 37 liters. Human brains are 75% water. So itong mga trivia na to ay iiwan ko na lang sa inyo para punta tayo agad sa may properties. So we have the surface tension, cohesion, and the capillary action. We also have the different thermal properties of water, which are the specific heat, heat of vaporization, boiling and freezing, water density, solid expansion, and pH. So when we say specific heat, Di ba? It has a unit of kilogram per, sorry, joules pala or the energy per gram per degree Celsius. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung kailangan mo na energy. So, you have the joules, energy requirement ng water para mapataas ng per degree yung per kilogram ng ating water. So we also have the heat of vaporization naman. So water absorbs heat as it changes from liquid to gas. So sabi ko nga kanina, yung water has actually three states. So we have the liquid, gas, and we also have the solid. So ngayon, kapag ka nag-absorb ng heat yung saturated liquid or the water, so it will change into a gas. Then we also have the boiling and freezing. Pure water at sea level boils at 100 degrees Celsius and freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. So ito yung tinatawag natin na boiling point at saka 0 degrees Celsius naman is the freezing point. So kapag ka ang water ay lumagpas na ng, let's say, 101 degrees Celsius beyond, yun na yung tinatawag natin na superheated steam. Okay. Then we also have the water density. So water is most dense at 4 deg C and begins to expand again as the temperature decrease further. So meaning, yung density ng water ay nagde-decrease as the temperature increases. So yung kanilang relationship ay inverse. Then we also have the solid expansion. So solids are denser than liquids, but the special properties of water make it less dense as a solid, such as ice floats on water. We also have the pH or the potential on hydrogen. So water molecules have a tendency to ionize and dissociate into ions or the charged particles. So kung napapansin ninyo, kapag nagko-compute tayo ng pH, di ba, ang nilalagay natin sa calculator is the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ions. While if we are computing naman the POH or the potential of hydroxide, we are using the logarithm of the hydroxide ions. So itong mga H plus ions, let's say we have the hydrochloric acid. So meron tayong HCl. So susulat ko ganyan na, wait lang. So we have the HCl. So ang hydrogen ions ng HCl is that we have the plus 1 and we have the chlorine negative 1. So itong H plus 1 na yan yung hydrogen ions na tinutukoy dyan sa dito sa slide. So, yan yung ginagamit natin to compute for the pH of the certain liquid or certain acid. And we also have the water cycle. So, I think na touch naman ninyo ito sa pinagawa ko na is ba? Ano yun? Ha? Saglit lang, wait lang guys ha. Ano yun? Bakit yung NYSI?
Yung ito natin. Talagang yung signal mo.
Wait lang guys ha. Paano hindi ka makakonect?
Hindi nga, ewan ko kung
Hindi ka maka-install, bakit naman hindi ano?
wala nga signal yan. Sige.
O di makishare ka na naman kasi mag-check ako ng attendance mamaya. Sige. Tapos ano pala guys, yung sa may envy ninyo, kailangan ko din ng compilation ninyo at i-check ko siya every exam. Like for example, kapag nag-exam kayo ng midterm, so iikot ako doon sa mga upuan ninyo tapos i-check ko kung meron kayong notes. So not necessarily na kokopyahin nyo lahat nung binibigay kong notes kasi masyado namang mahaba tsaka hindi naman necessary na kailangan yung kopyahin lahat. Ang importante is that yung mga parang sinasabi ko na wala dito sa slide, kailangan ilagay niyo yun sa notes and also kapag ka nag-solve na tayo nung stoichiometry which is yung combustion ng mga hydrocarbon, kailangan nakalagay yun sa notes ninyo. And also, yung ating biochemical oxygen demand. So, kailangan ko yun kasi meron din siyang mga graph-graph. So, kailangan makita ko yun sa notes ninyo. So, yung format ng notes ninyo, kailangan naka A4 siya. Tapos, yung margin niya ay 0.5 inch red. All sides. Yun yung requirement ko sa Envite. Okay? Ganun din sa fluids. So, let's talk about the water cycle. So, a water cycle has how many processes are there dito sa my slide ko? We have the condensation, sublimation, transportation, precipitation, evaporation, at meron tayong tinatawag na evapotranspiration. So, are you familiar with the evapotranspiration? Para lang siyang pinagsama-sama na evaporation plus yung mga transpiration galing doon sa mga hayop and plants. Kasi they also contribute to the evaporation of the liquid. So, hindi lang yung mga large bodies of water, but also of the perspiration galing sa atin, galing sa plants, and galing din sa mga animals. Okay. So, first is that evaporation. So, nagkakaroon ng evaporation kapag na-reach na ng water yung temperature at saka pressure na kaya niyang mag-evaporate. So, tataas yon of course. Tapos, pupunta siya sa taas. And then, kapag once na nagbago ulit yung temperature and pressure doon sa atmospheric layer natin, specifically, we have the troposphere. So, magkakaroon ulit ng change in state, which is the condensation. Now, kapag bago na ulit yung temperature and pressure, so magkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na precipitation. So yung precipitation, ito yung pagbagsak ng rain naman doon sa baba. So ang purest state of water, wait lang, purest state and purest form of water is the water that is about to precipitate. So ibig sabihin ng water that is about to precipitate, hindi pa po siya nakakatouch ng any substance galing sa atmosphere. So, ibig sabihin, untouched pa siya. So, hindi pa siya napopollute ng mga gases sa ating atmosphere. So, the purest form of water is the water that is about to precipitate. So, take note of that. And then, we also have the runoff. So, wait lang pala, yung precipitation, it can be a rain, a snow, or hail, di ba? Tapos, kapag bumagsak na siya doon sa lupa, ito na yung tinatawag ngayon natin na runoff. So, doon sa runoff, connected ngayon yung classification ng water kasi nakakapag-contribute ngayon yung runoff dito sa pag-create ng ibang klase ng water. Specifically, wetlands. So, una muna is we have the surface water. So, this occurs primarily in streams, lakes, and reservoir. Samantalang yung mga wetlands naman, these are from the rain because these are the flooded areas in which the water is shallow enough to enable growth of bottom-rooted plants. We also have the estuaries or yung extension ng oceans. And then we also have the groundwater, which is both an important direct source of water supply and a significant indirect source since a large portion of the flow to stream is derived from the subsurface water. So itong groundwater is very rich in heavy metals. So kailangan, it is very important for us to have a purification system kasi itong groundwater natin ay marami siyang heavy metals such as the arsenic. So kapag kayang arsenic kasi na yan ay naipon sa ating katawan, we know that arsenic is carcinogenic. So kailangan nating iwasan yung source ng mga arsenic. And also, malalaman din natin ang isa pang source pala ng arsenic is that the biomagnification or the bioaccumulation coming from the fish na kinakain natin. Kasi ang arsenic ay hindi po siya nadadigest ng katawan natin. So, it stays in our body. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na bioaccumulation coming from the algae na kinakain ng fish. Tapos, pag kumain naman tayo ng fish, napapasa naman sa atin yung arsenic. And also, we have the mercury, we also have the cadmium, we also have the silver. So, yun yung mga iba't ibang klase ng heavy metals. So, ito yung itsura ng ating groundwater. So, meron tayong water table and we also have the unconfined aquifer. Tapos, meron siyang parang semi-permeable membrane and sa baba noon, we have the confined aquifer. Then, kapag nag-i-install tayo ng gripo or poso, so yung pinakababa or pinakadulo ng ating parang tubo is hanggang doon siya sa may unconfined or water table aquifer. So ito, maraming mga heavy metals na nandiyan sa loob. Kaya kailangan pa rin natin na i-treat siya kapag gagamitin natin siya as potable or drinking water. Pero kapag gagamitin mo lang naman siya commercially like panglaba or kaya pangligo, carry lang naman yun. Pero once na gagamitin mo siya for drinking, it is not advisable. So here are the characteristics of water. So first, we have the physical, and second one is we have the chemical characteristics of water. So when we say physical, so pwede mo siyang ma-observe visually or physically. Una, we have the color. So syempre, para masabi mo na ang water ay madumi, magbe-base ka sa color niya. Pero kung i-judge mo kasi yung water na pwede mo siyang inumin or pwede mo siyang gamitin na panligo, hindi ka lang pwedeng mag-base sa color only. Kasi pwede siyang clear na clear, pero inside it pala marami pala siyang microorganisms. So it's a no-no. Maraming parameters ang dapat na i-consider when you are using water as a potable drinking water. Next is we also have the odor. So yung odor ng water is yun yung isa sa pinaka-strong na indicator para masabi mo kung ang water ay malinis or hindi. So ang iba't ibang compound na naaamoy natin sa water ay we have ito yung mga structural formula niya or compound. So we have the amines. So itong amines na ito, it is composed of nitrogen. So pati yung ammonia, it is mainly composed of nitrogen. Kaya yung naaamoy natin ay ito yung medyo malansa. Tapos yung ammonia naman, actually ang ammonia is odorless po siya. But when it is mixed with other gases like the methane, yun na yung mabaho. We also have the diamines. So ito yung kanyang formula. So amoy po siya ng nabubulok na isda. We also have the hydrogen sulfide or amoy siya ng parang na bulok na itlog. So hydrogen sulfide. Yung hydrogen sulfide na yan, meron yung mga fart natin or yung otot natin, di ba? Pero super konti lang naman yung amount niya. Negligible kumbaga. So, in a very large amount, yung hydrogen sulfide na yan is pwede siyang makapag-suffocate or makapag-cause ng death. So, sa mga planta, masyadong matataas yung hydrogen sulfide content niya. We also have the mercaptans, amoy skunk, or skunk is actually para siyang family ng mga rodents. So, parang ganun yung amoy niya. And we also have the organic sulfides or the rattan cabbage. And we also have the scatol or para siyang amoy poop. So, yun yung mga different compounds na nakakapag-contribute sa odor ng water. We also have the turbidity. So, itong turbidity is ito kung paano mo makakarakterize yung water, kung malabnaw ba siya, malinaw, or masyado nang maitim. So, this is the itsura ng turbid water. So, we have the low turbidity to high turbidity. So, kapag ka low turbidity, clear siya, medium, para siyang nahaluan na ng mga contaminants. As kapag ka high turbidity, kumbaga super saturated na siya nung dumi. Tapos ito yung tinatawag natin na Jackson turbidimeter to measure the turbidity of the water. But because of technology now, gumagamit na po tayo ng digital na turbidimeter para mas accurate. Kasi kapag second disc lang yung gagamitin natin, parang naka-base lang kasi siya doon sa judgment ng magtitingin. So, to assure the accuracy of the turbidity, we use the digital turbidimeter. So, ipapakita ko na lang siya soon sa inyo kapag nagkaroon tayo ng face-to-face next week. Then, we also have the temperature. So, no need to elaborate this one. And we also have the total solids. So, itong total solids na to, this is measured in the quantity of parts per million, or we also have the milligrams per liter. Ibig sabihin, kung magte-test tayo kung gaano kadumi yung tubig, we measure the contaminants milligram kung ilang milligram per liter. So this is actually the concentration. So how do we measure the ppm or the concentration of the total dissolved solids? So we use this analysis. We are going to use oven. So yung oven kasi guys, ita-dry natin yung water or i-evaporate natin yung water. Pag At kapag ka nag-evaporate na lahat ng water at 103 degrees Celsius, it is beyond the boiling point of the water. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga dissolved solid ay matitira sa baba. Kasi nga, hindi naman sila volatile or hindi naman sila yung mag-evaporate. So, maiiwan sila doon sa pan. And then, we are going to weigh the mass of the pan. Then, that's it. So, kung ilan yung mass ng pan, yung mass ng ating contaminants, it will be divided to kung how many liters yung nilagay mo doon sa ating oven kanina. And that will be the concentration of the solid sa ating water. Then also, we have the pressure of the water. So, I already introduced this one. Kapag nandito tayo sa may baba or Pangasinan, kung i-compare natin sa Baguio, yung ating pressure here ay I am talking about the atmospheric pressure. So, mas mataas yung atmospheric pressure natin sa baba kesa sa Baguio. That is why when we are traveling, kapag galing tayo sa low pressure, di ba? Magbibiyahe tayo from Baguio, bababa ka ng Pangasinan. Di ba meron yung parang hindi ka mapalagay kasi doon sa tenga mo parang may popping sound because nga from low pressure unti-unting pinapasukan yan ng high pressure. That is why pag nagkaroon na ng popping sound, that is the time na na-reach na nung tenga mo yung parang equilibrium pressure. So, hindi na siya masyadong masakit. Then, also, regarding naman sa boiling point ng water, ang boiling point kasi ng water, nangyayari yan kapag kayong atmospheric pressure ay nag-equalize yan doon sa vapor pressure ng ating tubig. So, ibig sabihin, the lower the atmospheric pressure, the lesser the time na i-reach ng water natin para ma-reach yung boiling point. That is why, mas madaling kumulo yung water sa lower atmospheric pressure like Baguio or mga highlands kung i-compare natin sa baba. Kaya nga yung mga nag-hiking, di ba? Ngayon, dun sa Mount Everest, pwede na silang mabilis lang magpakulo ng tubig doon because of the low atmospheric pressure sa taas. Okay? Then, we also have the chemical characteristics of water. So, we have the pH. So, hindi ko na i-discuss si pH. Calcium and magnesium, ito ngayon yung nagko-contribute ng hardness ng water. That is why, when we are boiling water, kung mapapansin ninyo doon sa may gilid ng ating pot or kaya yung takori natin, di ba may para siyang scaling doon sa gilid or parang yung white-white? Kasi hindi naman tayo laging naguhugas pa nung pot natin since iniisip natin water lang naman siya. So, wala tayong urge na hugasan yung gilid niya or sa loob niya. Kaya nagde-deposit ngayon yung calcium at saka magnesium doon sa gilid. Okay? So that contributes to the hardness of the water. Kaya, yung mga kapag tinatry ninyong mag-camping, for example, sa mga liblib na lugar, di ba may mga water sila doon, water sources sila. Bakit kaya napakahirap magbanlaw doon sa tubig nila? Because of the hardness, mataas yung calcium at saka magnesium nun. Etong calcium and magnesium na to, nag-i-interfere siya with the surfactants na makikita doon sa sabon. Kaya parang mahirap siya banlawan. Kung i-compare mo siya sa soft water, so hard water yung tawag kapag mataas yung calcium at magnesium. Soft water naman kapag na-treat na siya at bawas na yung ating calcium and magnesium. So dahil nabawasan na yung Ca at saka Mg sa soft water, mas madali na tayong magbanlaw. Then we also have the nitrogen and phosphorus. These are considered as the nutrients sa ating water. So the more na mas maraming nitrogen at saka phosphorus sa ating bodies of water, nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na algal bloom or eutrophication. So ang eutrophication kasi or algal bloom ay nutrient siya. So gustong-gusto po siya ng mga water lily, watercress, at saka mga lumot. Kaya pag madumi yung tubig, big sabihin nun, kapag maraming water lily or watercress yung tubig, isang indication yun na polluted na yung water mo. Kasi hindi naman mag-i-stay yung mga water lilies at saka mga watercress kung wala silang nutrients doon sa water. So, merong relationship yung algal bloom at saka yung nutrients natin. Then we also have the biomagnification. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na kapag nakain natin yung isda na kumain ng algae na rich in arsenic at saka mga mercury, chromium at saka lead. So this will result to diseases like the itay-itay or the Minamata disease. So paki-correct na lang ito. Minamata disease yan. Minamata disease. And we also have the itay-itay or the ouch-ouch disease, which is an extremely painful disease that causes disintegration of the bones. So, ganito yung itsura niya, guys, oh. So, ganyan yung manifestation ng Minamata disease sa ating katawan pag nag-accumulate yung mercury sa ating katawan. So, yan, merong disintegration ng bones, tapos yung mata mo ay parang tirik na, parang ganyan. So, ganyan yung result niya. And we also have the itay-itay or the ouch-ouch. So, disintegration din siya ng bones and also the kidney failure. So, yan. So, for the water pollution occurs when harmful substances such as chemicals or microorganism. So, everyday naman ay nagkukos tayo ng water pollution. First thing na lang na ginagawa natin in the morning is we are brushing our teeth with toothpaste, di ba? So, yung toothpaste na yun is punong-puno siya ng chemicals. So, once na pumunta na siya doon sa lababo natin, magsisip siya into the groundwater. So, pwedeng makontaminate yung water doon sa baba. And we also have kapag ka naliligo tayo, di ba, syempre maraming chemicals yung mga shampoo and yung mga sabon natin. So, talagang hindi natin maiiwasan yung water pollution. Ang pwede lang nating magawa is to minimize. Okay? Kasi hindi natin siya totally na ma-prevent. So, what are the effects of water pollution? Human health, death of aquatic animals, and disruption of the food chains, diseases, and destruction of the ecosystems. Then we also have the differentiation ng iba't ibang klase ng water. So, we have the distilled water versus the ionized water. So, when we say distilled water, galing po siya sa distillation process wherein isa siya sa parang water treatment na ginagamitan ng evaporation method at saka condensation method. So, ang nangyayari dyan, binoboil natin yung water. So, kapag ka nag-boil kasi yung water at 100 degrees Celsius, so nag-aagaw dyan yung vapor at saka yung liquid pa lang. Kasi nga, parang kumbaga transition pa lang yun. So, beyond that 100 degrees Celsius, let's say 103 degrees Celsius, that is the time that the water starts to evaporate. Okay? So, kapag ka nag-evaporate na yung water, so dadaan siya sa condensation. So, may parang cooling water din doon sa daanan niya habang tumadaan yung vapor sa loob ng tube. So, para siyang mini heat exchanger. So, yung malamig na tubig or the cooling water is that ibabalik niya ngayon yung vapor sa loob ng tube into saturated liquid. So, that saturated liquid is the distilled water na. Tapos, yung mga contaminants na hindi nag-evaporate, maiiwan ngayon doon sa container mo, which is then discarded. So, that is the process of the distilled water. Kapag kasi sinabi naman natin the ionized water, the ions of the water such as the cations and the anions are removed using the resins. So, meron tayong tinatawag na mga resins na nag-absorb specifically ng anions or ito yung mga negatively charged molecules natin, and we also have the positive or we have the cations. So, ibig sabihin, pag deionized, wala ng mga anions at saka wala na ding mga cations. So, ito ay kadalasang ginagamit sa mga experiments sa laboratory. And we also have the last, water treatment process. So, ang water treatment process ng water is actually divided into 3 stages. So, we have the preliminary, primary, and we also have the secondary treatment process. Pero ito, kapag natapos na yung wastewater natin na dumaan sa 3 stages na to, it doesn't mean na pwede na natin siyang inumin. Kailangan mag-undergo pa siya ng another treatment process. Itong wastewater treatment process na ginagawa ay ginagawa lang siya para yung mga galing sa planta or polluted water from the plants ay safely po siya mai-dispose sa ating mga river system. Okay? So, hindi pa siya pwedeng inumin. So, kung gusto mo siyang inumin, we have to disinfect that further. Another process na naman yun. So, for our wastewater treatment process, so here is the flow. So, ito yung, anong tawag dito? Para siyang flow diagram. Yun, flow diagram ng water treatment process natin. So, from raw water, dito kasi di-dispose, for example, ng mga planta, yung wastewater nila. So, sa isang tangke yan. Then, for the preliminary, kung mapapansin ninyo, mag-flow ngayon yung water papunta sa isang coagulation tank. So, ang ibig sabihin kasi ng coagulation tank ay pinagsasama-sama niya or pinagkukumpo-kumpol niya yung mga contaminants sa loob. So, ang example ng coagulant ay meron tayong tinatawag na aluminum hydroxide. So, this aluminum hydroxide or the alum, or alam niyo yung parang sa component ng tawas, that is actually aluminum hydroxide. So, yun yung commercial na ginagamit ng mga water treatment process to uh, use as a coagulant. Ang ginagawa kasi ng coagulant, positively charged or negatively charged sila. Tapos, yung mga contaminants sa water, positively charged, for example. So, di ba, kapag ka ang negative, ay i-attract niya ngayon yung positive. So, mangyayari, yung alum na yon i-attract niya lahat ng contaminant sa water. Kaya magbubuo-buo siya, yun yung tinatawag natin na flux. Okay. So, flux or ito yung malalaking bilog-bilog. Since nagkukumpol-kumpol na yung mga dumi sa water, because of the gravity, magsisettle sila pababa. So, ito na yung tinatawag natin na sedimentation process para lahat ng flux ay pupunta sa baba. Then, yung clear water or yung treated water, magfo-flow na siya papunta sa may filtration or the secondary treatment. So, this secondary treatment, we are introducing microorganisms here. So, these microorganisms kasi, sila yung kumakain naman ng mga natirang dumi. So, dito papasok ngayon yung tinatawag natin na biochemical oxygen demand. So, the more na mas mataas yung biochemical oxygen demand natin, ibig sabihin, mas madumi yung water. Ang mga bacteria kasi, nahati siya sa dalawa. We have the aerobic and we have the anaerobic. Pag sinabi nating aerobic, they use oxygen. Kailangan nila ng oxygen para mabuhay. Pag anaerobic naman, pwede silang mabuhay kahit walang oxygen. So for the aerobic, kailangan tayong magkaroon ng aeration tank para mabuhay yung mga bacteria na kakain doon sa dumi. So we are applying here aeration. Ayan. So mag-introduce tayo ng air doon sa water. Kaya minsan may makikita kayong mga bula-bula doon sa wastewater treatment. Then after which, pag yung mga bacteria na nandoon, unti-unti silang dadami. So ang pagdami nila class ay hindi linear. Ha? So ganito yung pagdami nila, ganyan. So i-discuss natin yan sa ano, um, pag nag-discuss na ako ng BOD kung paano sila dumadami at kung paano rin sila pupunta sa death phase or unti-unti na rin silang mamamatay. Kasi, syempre, na-consume na nila lahat ng food or the dumi doon sa loob ng tubig. So, pag naubos na nila yon, wala na silang source ng food, mamamatay na din sila. So, kapag ka namatay na yung mga bacteria na kumain ng organic matter doon sa ating water, magfo-float na lang sila doon sa taas. So, ito yung nakikita natin na frothing doon sa taas ng water, nagfo-float na sila. Tapos, i-scoop na natin yun. I-scoop na ng water treatment yon. Tapos, yung tubig na natira, magfo-flow siya doon sa storage na. So, itong storage na to, ibig sabihin, ready na po siyang i-discharge doon sa ating river para less polluted na yung ating river. Kung i-compare mo doon sa raw water na galing doon sa mga planta. So, itong treated water na ito, if you want this to, if we want to convert this into a potable drinking water, then meron pa tayong mga special processes like the microfiltration and we also have the reverse osmosis. Okay? So, yun yung parang general na explanation ng water treatment process. So, Didiscuss ko pa siya ng mas specific kasi ang isang parang assignment ninyo sa or requirement ninyo sa NPI is that you should be able to design a wastewater treatment facility. Okay? So that's it. Meron ba kayong question, guys? Wala. Okay, so let me check your attendance. Just say present na lang kapag ka meron kayo. Aliado? Aliado, wala. Online na nga, absent pa. So, aliado. Ambrosio?
Present po, ma'am.
Balanag?
Present po.
Kalimlim?
Present, ma'am.
Carbonel?
Present, ma'am.
Carlos?
Present po, ma'am.
Castro Angelica?
Present, ma'am.
Castro Fredilyn?
Present po.
Cole?
Present, ma'am.
De la Cruz Carlos?
Present, ma'am.
De la Peña?
Present, ma'am.
Deschar?
Present, ma'am.
Wait lang. Gabot?
Present, ma'am.
Mr. Gabot, may plan ka pa ba mag-pass ng problem set mo?
Yes, ma'am.
Bakit hindi ka nag-reach?
Ma'am, kakasali lang po namin sa GC. Hindi po namin nagawa, ma'am.
Sino yung kasama mo ulit?
Ma'am, si Paul po, tsaka si Mr. Aliado po.
So, Gomez?
Present po.
Iko?
Present po, ma'am.
Cubero?
Present, ma'am.
Leda?
Present po, ma'am.
Lumibaw?
Present po, ma'am.
Magat? Manuel?
Present po, ma'am.
Meneses?
Present po.
Mosavi?
Present po, ma'am.
Nava?
Present po, ma'am.
Nesperos?
Present po.
Padilla?
Present, ma'am.
Palma?
Present po, ma'am.
Ramos?
Present, ma'am.
Rapsing? Wala si Mr. Rapsing?
Present po, ma'am.
Meron. Serrano?
Present po, ma'am.
Sibayan? Sibayan Chris, wala. Si Kig, Aljon,
Ma'am, present po, ma'am.
Sumintak. Wala, si Sumintak. Tagarino. Wala din. Tumbok.
Present po, ma'am.
Velano.
Present po, ma'am.
Okay. So, meron si Mr.
Ma'am,
Sibayan.
Present po, suminta.
Sumintak, okay. So, ang absent ay si Aliado at saka si Tagarino. Okay, so ayusin natin yung schedule natin next time sa sa NVI, pati yung fluids ninyo. No? Okay, so kung wala na po kayong question, guys, see you on Tuesday, 9 to 10 pa din tayo. Kasi update ko naman kung mag-online tayo ulit ng Thursday or hindi. Tapos, before we end this meeting, may I ask kung sino pa yung walang ka-group pala?
Ma'am, si po? Mr.
Sino?
Aliado, ma'am.
Si Aliado. At saka si Mr. Tombo. So, mag-ask na lang kayo sa GC mamaya kung sino pa yung kulang sa group. Kasi sakto lang yung bilang ko. Dapat tig pa 5 kayo. Kasi 35 kayo eh. So, mag-ask ka na lang kung sino pa yung kulang. Tapos, i-absorb ka na lang nila. Sige. So, thank you guys. See you Tuesday.